Hey, thanks for checking out the video. If you all like it, please like and subscribe, and hope you all enjoy it. Have a great rest of the day. Oh, hello everyone. Hope you all are having a great day today. Anyways, we are checking in here from the Museum of the Waxhaws here in Waxhaws, North Carolina. Pretty much today, this is actually the weekend after we had our lantern tour, so we're in the process of kind of cleaning everything up, from there. But also, anyways, on a side note, as I'm kind of cleaning up the cabin here from everything, I'm kind of wiping down some of the tables with with a soft micro soft micro rag, something kind of like light and easy. Very extremely well, you're gonna want to have it be a little bit of damp water, but on it, but have it be like on the drier side so you don't get anything too wet. So I'm pretty much just wiping some of the tables down that we kind of used and all that stuff. But while I'm doing that, actually, I am also in the process of cleaning some of my cast iron, especially this big one right here, which unfortunately the last time I did a video I was not able to get around to doing it. This one right here. So this one's going to need a little bit of extra care to it. A little bit of extra cleaning to it. But anyways, so, and I also have one of my other pieces right here, currently on the fire right here. So I cleaned it already, and I also just seasoned it. I put some olive oil on there or whatever. But anyways, so today's video is going to be on how to again, I'm doing another video as it's kind of been pretty popular, and I have some additional pieces that I've been needing to kind of clean and season and all that stuff. So with that being said, I've had to obviously re-clean and season and maintain some of my pieces. So the new pieces that I have currently is this spider right here with the 3 legs here. This one actually is historically accurate. It has the 3 pegs here, but you can tell from this line right here, the line that's right here in the middle, that it's closer to the 19th century. So for those that are familiar with that, you all can look at that and have a better idea of what time period it came from. So this is one of the pieces that I need to season. Now let me kind of walk over the process as far as how to properly clean, season, and maintain your pieces. Oh, and this other piece right here that I have is one that was made by one of my friends, who's a blacksmith. I can kind of refer him to you all for those that may need it. So this is my piece right here, thankfully, and it's come in handy for quite a few things. I've made Cornish hens, and I've also made some ham, some country ham with it, and also a pork roast. But anyways, so let's kind of get this process kind of narrowed down, because I know that there's a lot of discussion of that from what I've seen. But anyway, so I have actually found that to clean and season your cast iron and Dutch ovens for historic cooking, I know that some people like to use historic methods, which is great, and I highly encourage it. Especially for those that are more traditional and all that sorts, and that's great, fine, fantastic. Some people are not that way, but that's okay too. To each its own. But for those that are looking for a more historically accurate way for how they did it in the 18th and 19th century, You can simply follow these particular methods, for cast iron and Dutch ovens. Now, one thing that you can do is use a loofah from a gourd to scrub the stubborn stuff off. You could even go as far as actually using sand from a creek bed to scrub it down as well, for those that have access to that to sand. But you can generally get a hold of some from for those that live near creeks or whatever. So you can definitely use that. Now, as far as seasoning, you can actually use a touch of lard, or a tiny bit of bear grease to season it as needed. But actually be careful with even with modern oils and stuff. Please be really, really careful as to what you use and how much. Because some of the stuff can actually go rancid. Even vegetable oil and all that stuff can go rancid, so be really, really, really careful. And one piece of advice that I can always give people is the more you use your pieces and stuff, your cast iron and all, the less likely it will go, rancid. That is one thing that people have said, as it just doesn't sit around. So that's just a warning. But the modern oils that you can use is vegetable oil, and that would be a safe way to go, especially for those that have, it's actually kosher as well, and for those that have certain followings. And as I said, yeah, vegetable oil can go rancid, but that is a safe alternative, or safer alternative for those that may have those, certain religious followings and whatnot. Or you can simply use olive oil, which would be an alternative that you can use. So for those that want to use that, so you can use those for seasoning purposes. Now, one of the things that you can also do to clean your cast iron, kind of back to that, is getting a bunch of sliced apples and filling the cast iron or Dutch oven to the top and making it into kind of like a stew, or to where it's kind of like mush in a sense. That would actually help get rid of some of the rust. Of course, you'd have to obviously get a cloth and wipe it down after you do the apple process, just to kind of, clean it out and all that sorts. I actually did that a number of months ago, and tried it, and as it was kind of something that I had kind of seen, from some of my readings and some of my research. They said that you could actually, do that, and it did work. Of course, nothing's perfect, but it did work. So it did kind of take some of the edge off. And then, of course, once you, clean it off to the extent that you can, you then go into the seasoning process. So that's pretty much that. Now, back to the seasoning. As long as the oil can blacken and not go rancid, then it should be fine. Just make sure that you just keep an eye on it, and as I said, just a rule of thumb that I've always gone by is just make sure that you regularly use your pieces for all the cooking that you can. So the more active that it is, the better. That's something that I've read, to an extent. So definitely keep an eye on that. And then, of course, one of the things that I always do is, obviously you kind of have to heat it over there, but once I take it off the fire, I generally let it sit for a few minutes to kind of cool off, or let it sit until it cools off. And then once it cools off, at that point you can simply, if there's any like excessive oil on it, I personally, when I've found any excess oil, I personally have gotten a paper towel and or a rag, a very, very light rag of sorts, and kind of just patted it down a little bit to kind of get some of the excess stuff off. And all that stuff. For that was one of the questions that I had recently gotten. Is like, whoa, what do you do about the excess oil on it or whatever? And it's like, okay, well, if that really bothers you, for those that it bothers or whatever, and for those that have had that happen, I mean, you can simply just get a rag or some paper towels and just pat it down and kind of get some of the excess off. Now, as far as to the extent of how much you see, like to the extent of the seasoning, some people are just happy just doing the inside of the Dutch oven, or the inside of the pan. That's fine. That's totally up to you as to what you season and how you go about it. But for those that want to season the whole thing, go for it. I personally season the inside and the outside, just because it just looks nicer, and I also clean the outside as well. Now, one thing that I've also kind of followed as well for Dutch ovens that I don't use for, that I only use for like certain things like pies. You don't really have to season it too much, or very often, so long as you don't get the inside dirty. Example, like what I mean is like if you like make a pie and somehow you spilled something into the Dutch oven, of course you're gonna have to clean it out and all that sorts, and and of course after a few times of cleaning it, or after several times of having that happen, the oil kind of wears out, and you kind of have to put in some new. You just have to like reapply the seasoning, or like redo the seasoning process and stuff, and just like reapply it, and that's fine. But personally, I've even gone as far as not really going too crazy as far as seasoning some of the ones that I really do a lot of pies with and nothing else. That sorts, but that's just my personal opinion. But for the one that I have on the fire there, that's more of one that I've done both the inside and the outside with. This piece right here, I use this more primarily for pies and stuff, so I don't have to season it as much, or I personally don't season it as much. I simply just get some sand, and of course I wet the I rinse it off with water, and I just kind of get some sand, and just rub it in the rub the sand on the inside of the Dutch oven and all that sorts, and to kind of get all the dirt and grime or whatever, and all that sorts, and kind of do the same to the outside as well. Now, for those that want to clean it a more modern way, go for it. Just get a sponge or whatever, and you can just clean it that way, inside and out. Now, here's another thing as well. One thing that I know that's going to cause a lot of discussion, and I hope that it does lead to some civil conversations and stuff. Some civilized conversation on people's personal opinions, as long as it stays civil, is the use of dish soap. I personally am not the biggest fan of it, because there's obviously certain other methods that are that work just as well, ones that I've mentioned. And personally, I find that if you use soap, like dish soap, like modern dish soap and stuff, it runs the risk of staying in the pores of the Dutch oven or the cast iron and stuff. If left in there, if left to dry. So for those that choose to, I personally am against it. But for those that do decide to use a tiny tad of dish soap, use the least amount that you can. And once you are done, using the dish soap, make sure that you sit there for at least 10 to 20 minutes, rinsing it out, rinsing it out with hot water, to make sure that you get all the soap out, because you really want to do a good job with getting it all out. You don't want to leave that in there because it'll definitely affect the taste of whatever you're cooking and stuff, and it just doesn't turn into something that's productive or good. So make sure that if for those that do use dish soap, use the least amount possible, and make sure that you do a really good job with rinsing it out. Other than that, that's pretty much my spiel on cast iron and seasoning and all that sorts. So if you all have any questions, please reach out. And I'll do my best to answer the questions. Now, if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and have a great rest of the day. Talk to you all soon. Bye.